Oh, I am, although, I am being entertained. A couple of months ago, there was a discussion here about that property way up on West Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of enjoying the fact that the board took such an interest and said that they were gonna call the Board of Health and they were gonna call the building inspector. But ever since then, on all the meetings that I've come to, there was never any conversation as to the status of that. And I've spoken to many people, and the consensus was it would be nice if a bunch of people from the town got together and went up there with plastic bags and et cetera, and cleaned up some of the ice, do as much as we could. And then I was cautioned that there's a lot of metal there and plastic bags are not gonna do it. So I guess, and I went back to the minutes, and the minutes that this was discussed at was on February 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's May 1st, 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of interested to know what's going on. And secondly, I'd like to know what can we do to solve the problem instead of talking about it.
Well, number one is the fact that the land and who owns it, and whether or not when land court, the town actually has control of the property, has not been established yet, even though we have called the land attorney in numerous times about this particular parcel. It is, while this is a nuisance, as Greg points out, and there are some things we can do for a nuisance, this could be an attractive nuisance that would be a thing that we should clean up, because if a child or something were to go on that property and get injured, you know, whose responsibility is for it? Is that for, you know, gonna land on whose table? So at any rate, there's no question that that land is in limbo. It is not it's not ours, it's not the town's, and thus, just like I can't tramp onto your land and with a big plastic bag and put what I think is trash in it and move it along, I can't do that as a town. The town just can't do that. And so we continue to work with an attorney. And is it slow? Is it frustrating? Absolutely. How many calls have you made?
Yeah, so another challenge that we have presented to us is that the treasurer collector, he ended up leaving in this time frame between February and now, and he was the main point of contact for the attorney. So I myself have been trying to get in touch with the attorney, but it's presented challenges because I haven't been able to leave voicemails. His voicemail box isn't working, so I'm following up with emails and trying to get that conversation restarted as well with myself, to get myself up to speed.
Doesn't the town, the town's current attorney, Jim Beard, I don't know what his status is, but I thought that the town was communicating, or had communicated, or had retained, or did something with an outside legal firm that we can call.
Right. Yep, that's who I'm speaking about.
Because maybe the outside legal firm can communicate with whomever to get it done. Because, you know, this problem has been going on for 12 years.
Well, we can talk about it for 12 more minutes, and it's not going to get resolved tonight.
I don't want to. I think it's about time we see some action.
Well, I would say this to you. If you want to take a ride around town with me and look at the number of parcels that we should be taking some action on, you would probably have to at least bring both our two hands to do the count.
Or you can call me anytime.
Yeah, the problem, obviously, we do not have jurisdiction nor the authority to do some things people believe we can do. And so you certainly don't want them, the town being subject to suit because we have moved inappropriately to just take stuff off somebody's property. We have a couple situations that we've been working on for a long time in various parts of the community that now we've had a death in one situation where it's just a horrible situation that we don't know who's going to own what. So some things are in probate, that's why they get left this way. So I know the level of frustration people feel, and believe me, I think that this board feels frustration that we can't just march in there and clean it up. We just can't. And what if we could? So I just ask for your patience, and I know it's hard because it's like you say, it's 12 years. I haven't been here for 12 years, he hasn't been here for 12 years, and I think, John, you've only been here 12 hours. So, you know, we continue to hear you, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. And it's not something we're ignoring, it's something that we don't have the jurisdiction to fix quickly. We just don't.
I understand, but in your conversation about driving around, anytime you want, you call me.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to approval of the meeting minutes for April 19, the open meeting section.
I move we approve the open meeting minutes from April 19th and release the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. Those in favor?
All right,
Aye. Okay, it looks like a unanimous vote.
make a motion we approve but not for release the minutes for executive session from April 19th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion made, seconded. Those in favor?
All right,
Aye. Unanimous vote. Moving on to reports. Town administrator, open it up for you.
Thank you very much. So everybody on the select board received my town administrator report on Thursday, so I'll just go over some of the things that I covered there, and I have a couple of other things to add on as well. So from my office, Sandy is working diligently on their annual town report that's available at the town meeting every year, digitally and in print, very limited print copies. We are also upgrading our phone system to it's called a VoIP system, which is basically an internet phone. Our current phone system, I just learned today actually, is about 16 to 18 years old. We've had some intermittent connectivity issues where people will call the office and it'll just ring and ring and ring and ring and not get connected. And we can't understand why that's happening. So we're just gonna go a different route, bring us up to 2022 and get an internet phone, which will also eliminate our monthly phone bill because we will be connected through our phones through our internet. So we will just have one bill for all of that.
Is that going to be a money saver, or?
Yep,
No,
it
great.
will be.
Will
So
that keep the
I've-
same phone numbers?
Yes, we will keep those same phone numbers, and I forget how much we spend every month on our phone bill, but it's too much. And it's not gonna impact our internet bill, cause it just uses the same, it doesn't use that much internet bandwidth. Something else that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention that I just finalized this afternoon was that the town of Barre will host a community shred day on Saturday, June 25th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So the purpose of this is, one, because in our archival process that I did a couple months ago, we have a ton of extra records that we need to have destroyed. And the best way to go about this was to have a big truck come in and shred it in a secure kind of situation. I'll be monitoring it, and the state, basically, they get a list of documents, or at least types of documents that will be destroyed. But the Board of Health has a grant that is able to cover this kind of activity, but the only way that they were able to cover this type of activity is if we opened it up to the whole community.
Great.
So we will be going forward with that. Again, Saturday, June 25th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And another thing that I wanted to touch base on was there is a meeting recording bylaw that was supposed to go into effect at the beginning of April. And so I've been working with Zoom to try and increase our capacity for other boards and committees to access our Zoom account. The way that we have it set up right now is that since we are using our Zoom account, if there was another board that was meeting at the same time, they would not be able to be using this. So we need to increase our licensing and kind of upgrade our account to a business account, which obviously it costs extra money, but then also Zoom attaches a business representative to our account, and kind of getting in touch with that person, scheduling meeting to talk about pricing and everything has been challenging. But even though it's been challenging, I'm still working through that, and I still think that this is gonna be the best way for us to move forward with this bylaw, just because no matter where somebody is, they can always have a computer with them to connect in with the public. It also allows for that two-way interface as well, so people can join in live versus just recording a meeting and then sending it to be uploaded on YouTube. So this offers kind of a two-point accessibility to boards and committees meetings.
Do you expect, Jessica, that you will have information before town meeting?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll make a report on that bylaw at that time or not, but certainly this can solve our problems if we can get the Zoom contract
Yeah.
nailed down for maybe a future meeting.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I hope to have it as soon as, this week would be great, to have at least a contract nailed down with Zoom. So, next I'll go over some finance-related issues. The Finance Committee has been meeting diligently, reviewing our FY23 proposed budget. Next week, we will be finalizing a capital expense plan and then making recommendations for articles to add to the town meeting warrant, which the town meeting warrant is on this agenda to open. I'm also in the process of reviewing a draft audit that was submitted to me last week by our auditors, Powers and Sullivan. All of our management issues remain the same, but I will make sure that this year it reflects the copious efforts we have put into addressing the challenges over the past year. At a meeting in the near future, a Board of Selectmen meeting in the near future, I will also recommend that the board appoints one person to sign the payroll warrant as well as myself to resolve one of the comments on the management letter that has to deal with the delay in getting that payroll warrant signed. So I feel like that's really low-hanging fruit that we should be able to address. And then everything, once we get this software integration all set and rolling, I feel like a lot of the other issues will resolve themselves almost immediately.
Would you say our integration work is on schedule?
I would say this week we're going to have everything submitted to Vadar for
Okay.
them to.
And the chart of accounts will now reflect the state chart of accounts?
Which it does already.
Okay.
I think there's just a couple of things that might need to be tweaked, and specifically some of the numbers that are associated with the
Okay.
accounts that need to be
Okay.
tweaked. But as far as the way that our accountant has had the chart of accounts set up, we have a really good DOR rep that has worked with her, and she's very confident that our chart of accounts is in tip-top shape.
So
Great.
by numbers, you mean account numbers or
Account.
tallies in the accounts?
Account
the
numbers.
Account numbers. So for some reason, our account numbers have like 5 zeros attached to them, and that's a little bit
they're
too
not
much.
necessarily
Yeah.
congruent in different
Yeah.
departments, so you could,
Yeah.
they're strange, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like things like that we should clean up, but that's pretty simple. And then finally, related to ARPA, we had our first financial report submitted last week, which only reflected the $45,000 10-wheel dump truck that the DPW purchased. That was all that we've actually, spent the money on, although there has been a couple of other projects that have been allocated by the select board. They're just interested on what we have spent. And I have also distributed an ARPA community survey, and we'll be collecting responses up until May 12th, so we can have a discussion on at our next May meeting on some of the ideas that people in the community have on how we may be able to use ARPA funds.
Have you received many responses from the public yet?
I've received 27 responses so far.
Is it just on our website?
Right now it's on the website, and I posted it to Facebook on Thursday. I'm gonna be distributing it to, the different departments, so we can have, especially the library and the senior center, so they can have some hard copies for people who may be interested in doing more this week, kind of a more focused effort on getting the word out for people to take the survey. But I think for a soft launch last week, to already have 27 responses was pretty good.
Could you distribute those responses you have to the board with where they come from as well?
Yep,
We don't need to necessarily put that out public, but
yep, no,
it'd be nice for us to know where they're coming from and what, are they coming from businesses, people, education, what, but to give us a good idea of where they're coming from to,
yeah, everybody who responds to the survey has to submit their name. So that's what everybody's been doing. Last week, I joined the police department in one of their quarterly department meetings. Members of the fire department also joined us to teach the police officers how to administer Narcan, as all of the cruisers, I believe, as of this week, will be equipped with Narcan for them to use in the community if they need to. And they also, the police officers also got a training on how to use the ambulance, the power stretcher, the stair chair, some equipment like that, so they can be more helpful when they respond to medical calls. Chief Saborin and I have also discussed the agreement that we have had with Solar Wolf Energy since September of 2020 for them to make a solar donation to the public safety building. Due to the fact that this project has not been completed and communications with the company have been very fragmented, I will be terminating this agreement. We believe that solar is still an important investment for the building, and it will lower energy costs substantially, but we just need to be seeking that resource from another company through a competitive bid process.
this is the one that donated,
Supposedly,
volunteered to donate.
but didn't.
Correct.
And they haven't come through.
But
with
it's-
it.
yeah.
It's disappointing. They haven't given a reason, they just.
Well, if
not-
you go online and do a little background, they've been involved in some litigation, significant litigation. They're a very large company, but I don't think this is a big, something that's fairly important to them, so they've just sort of passed on it.
Yeah.
Because
I haven't sent a termination letter as of this meeting because I wanted you guys to be able to give me feedback if you wanted, because obviously the donation would be huge,
I don't think we need
but
to send a termination letter, just that we can still go out to bid and look for it, and if we need to buy it, then we terminate it.
Yeah.
right.
But
Well,
it's
that-
possible they
yeah.
could change their mind, so let's not jump the gun and
So your recommendation is we go through a bidding process and.
And look into the costs
and- yeah.
and allow them an opportunity to fulfill what they've promised, and if it comes down to the fact they haven't, then we'll have to decide if we do get funding and approval, then we terminate.
Right. I think the challenge though with that is that we have a signed agreement with them. So I feel like before we solicit other bids, we should look at terminating that agreement.
I disagree. Do we have a deadline in the contract? Contracts in the state in general, if they don't contain a dollar amount and a deadline, they're really not enforceable.
Right.
So the fact that it's a donation, it's not an enforceable contract. The fact that there's no time schedule, it's not an enforceable contract. So I'm not the least bit concerned about advertising, and, they're gonna yell breach of contract because we won't let them give it to
Well,
us.
well,
They can certainly give it to us.
I don't think they're going to yell breach of contract. I
No.
just think here, trying to clear the deck is probably not a bad idea.
But
I mean,
I wouldn't do it yet. We'd clear the deck with a simple letter. It's, we
Well-
don't have to let them to the building to do the donation.
well,
We don't have to accept
well, I
the
don't think that
donation.
they were as particularly serious about it as we might have hoped, because it's been over 2 years. and
No, I think
we
it's some
haven't
good
heard
free
anything.
advertising for them.
Well, maybe. I don't even know if they've bothered to do that, but.
No, I mean, just the fact that you come to meetings and say. you
Oh,
have no
I
problem,
see,
it's
I
good-
see.
Goodwill with the town and good free advertising. Whether they follow through or not, they've perhaps reaped some benefits from advertising.
Tomorrow, the chief and I, hopefully both chiefs, but definitely Chief Saborn and I will be meeting with Kevin Clark, who's the facilities manager at Quabbin Regional School District, to discuss some of the HVAC issues that we have at the police department. Him, as well as another tech, came to the building about a month ago to review the HVAC system we have, and he has some recommendations on how we can address the heating and cooling problems that we have in the building. In our fire department, I notified the board last week that the chief was
Military leave.
on military leave, so I haven't seen him, I did not see him today, but I believe he's back in town And the chief also received a volunteer fire assistance grant from DCR to purchase 15 sets of wildland firefighting boots, which there's already been a number of brush fires, wildfires in the, this kind of central western Mass area.
We left one at 6:15 up at the Bear Falls Dam.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So, this
I didn't, but the
this
rest of you
new
did.
equipment will, hopefully help further protect our firefighters. And also, a lot of people, there's been a lot of buzz around town about what's happening on Route 67 and Route 32. And the Commonwealth of Massachusetts chose Barre for their municipal pavement program this year, which contains big stretches of Route 32 and Route 67, which are right now, I know for sure Route 67 is being resurfaced and is kind of a mess, but it will be repaved soon, with the exception of any bridges that are involved. This is a $2.1 million project that the DPW does have some responsibility to help with some drainage issues and help where they are needed. And then also coinciding with this work is, as many people have noticed, is a sidewalk project in South Barre
Yay.
that is being done.
Yay.
Watching the scrap go down to
Yeah.
the cement and asphalt place there in Old Colebrook. They've
Oh.
been hauling away load after load after load of old concrete, which is great. I'm sure they grind it up and reuse it down there for.
So
concrete.
my last bit related to the DPW is that I've been in touch with our National Grid rep, who is moving up in the company. He's being promoted, so we are just tying up some loose ends. And he did mention that the curb-to-curb paving is going to be completed on Barre Depot Road from the project that they did in November before the end of this week. And he told me that about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. he told me.
And I noted that we got a letter to the board, and I think it was, I guess, we were just copied about the plan for the Ruggles Lane parking lot, and the school was saying, when are you gonna tell us when this is gonna happen, because we've got summer school planned? So,
Right.
are we, do you have any communique between our office and DPW?
I reached out a couple weeks ago, and the board was tagged on that email about requesting an update on the Ruggles Lane project. I haven't received any.
Because the letter we get from Quabbin
But-
was dated Friday.
Well,
Yes, I
let's
saw
hope we
that
have
this
our.
morning.
Let's hope we have a DPW commission meeting
Next
next week.
week.
And
Because we gotta get,
last
There was
week,
also-
last week they had a water main break right before their
I
meeting.
know,
so
I
they
know,
kinda
yeah.
Flushed
The-
that one out.
The other thing
No
that
pun
Quabbin
intended.
has recently recognized at the school that they brought up to me
At
when
Ruggles Lane?
at Ruggles Lane when I met with them a couple weeks ago was that there's I think some
Drainage from the
drainage
back?
from the back. Like they think there's a drainage hole that is potentially blocked and
I
creating some
believe
issues,
drainage
so.
is part of this project, but you're not.
This
gonna-
is not
we're-
related to the parking lot, though. This is like behind the school. There's something to do with the drainage that might be blocked, and they are requesting that the DPW check that out while they're up there with
Yeah,
the equipment.
makes sense.
Just
Right.
take a look at
If
it.
it just needs to be jetted or something.
Well,
Yeah.
somewhere I heard the 22nd of June is either what the school wants or what the DPW has agreed upon. So maybe,
Okay.
like you say, next week we can maybe clarify
Yeah,
that.
we gotta get a meeting in down there and find out. But
Okay, anyone else have any questions or note of interest that we can share with our administrative assistant? We appreciate the report. John, anything?
I have my own report. Let's,
Okay, you'll be getting to that, okay? So let's move on to the select board reports and individual, John, why don't we go first with you and then go to Greg and myself bringing up the rear?
sure. Met with Chief Zaborn and Jessica this past week just to review the department, to get an understanding of what assets we have through the town, what some of the challenges are they're looking at. Jessica covered quite a few of them, the HVAC issue, solar, expecting an increased demand for electricity going forward. We also reviewed some of their training procedures and policies in place for that. So
Okay, so you were policing during your week off. Greg, anything?
I do not.
Okay. Just a select board report from my perspective is just, again, and I know I say this too often probably, but maybe not often enough, to thank the individuals in the finance area because they have been working very hard. And I have been complaining a very lot, I know, relative to, past audits for the community and some of the areas that we just have not fixed. And we are fixing a lot of them, and everybody's had to step up and really do a lot of extra work. Taking on an entirely new, shall we say, software system for the town, and all the way money moves is a lot of work. And it's to the credit of those people who probably complain a lot about me, but have really risen to the occasion, are doing a fabulous job. That will help us immensely on our audit reports, our management letter, and so forth, that I know we're going to get an opportunity to take a look at that management letter before it's finalized, so that will be important. So make sure that they know all of the things that we've addressed during the course of this last fiscal year. Also, as we move into the early part of FY23, we'll be turning the whole thing over, okay? Dumping the old and going with the new. And we're very, I think, fortunate to have a good relationship with the VADAR group that's working with us, and also with the group that's working with us in the absence of having a full-time treasurer at this particular time. So, many thanks to those people. And our hope is obviously that, while I know it's taken a long time, I have seen the DPW people working very hard on those sidewalks, trying to get them done, because we're going to be doing that resurfacing down in that area. I thank also the people who did the demolition down there for, I won't say the old Barre, the old reload place. I know it's going to be, I'm probably not going to be as thrilled about the fact that they'll probably just put more stuff there. And they probably aren't going to make this nice grass lawn for the community that I know they would really like. But I'm hopeful that maybe, since they're right across from that common down there, that they'll do a little patch of green if they ever listen to our meetings. But I do commend also the work that the DPW has done on all the sides of the roads on 32. And if you notice, they've done a lot of drainage work there, or had a lot of it done and been overseeing that. So I know, too, that they have been cleaning commons and they have been mowing. And I know it's hard to find people to mow, to even hire, so that's another obligation that they have. So while I complain sometimes that DPW doesn't get X or Y done, they have a lot to do with the weather getting warm. So thank you, Jessica, and thank those individuals that I've noted in my report.
It is nice for them that they're doing the sidewalks, they're actually doing a very highly visible job.
Yes.
They're doing jobs every day, all the time.
I know they are.
And when you're on the back of Old Dana Road or someplace out, nobody sees them, but they're driving through truck after truck. Everyone sees them and they know what they're doing. And,
Yeah.
it's good for them that people can see it, because usually they just don't see it because it's...
Yeah, and I just want people, while it's been a long time coming and there's been a lot of delays and issues that they couldn't do and didn't do, but, it is here now, and so let's forget the 9 years that they waited, and let's say, okay.
Then we had the Complete Street program come in,
Yes.
which kind of delayed it to wait
Yeah.
for their input, and then we have grant money coming in for part of it, and that kind of delays it to fit it in right.
And
So
my
it's-
only fear
it's-
is this, that we get a grant for the water system down in South Barre and we dig them all up.
Don't say that.
Well, you and I both know, we'll be looking at that grant and we'll say, we almost have to do it, but I hope that doesn't happen.
It'll go down the road, not the
It'll go.
sidewalk.
Yeah, okay. So.
Jason loves digging up fresh roads.
Oh, yeah, well, I
He's
don't
gonna call me
blame, I don't
now.
blame him. Other than the letter from the school, do we have any other correspondence?
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. We've done all of our new business with the joint appointments, but we do have,
We have an appointment for youth commission, so we can...
yeah, we do have an annual town meeting warrant vote to set the date, time, and location, and open the warrant for the article submission. Would you just read through what that date, time, location, and so forth will look like, Jessica?
Yes, so the date is June 14th, which is the Tuesday. I believe that's the second Tuesday of June, consistent with what we do every single year.
What does June 14th represent? Is that-
Annual town meeting,
Oh,
the
Annual
date.
town meeting.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when you can open the warrants and close the warrants.
We're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, this warrant will be open for a while,
Yeah.
probably tonight, I would assume.
The location?
The location, Ruggles Lane.
Oh, really?
We will have it at Ruggles Lane.
Okay.
Yes.
And the warrant, we're going to be voting to open the warrant for what date does the town clerk recommend? Because I know you've met with the town clerk and gotten information from her.
Right, so the town clerk says that we can have the warrant open as long, as short as we like. There's no guidance on that end of it. The requirement for her, though, is to make sure that it is posted 2 weeks before the town meeting, which puts us, the warrant needs to be finalized at the absolute latest on Tuesday, May 31st.
So we target Monday, the 30th.
Well, that's a holiday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we can meet Tuesday and do it, and I would suggest.
Tuesday is also that Tuesday is the public hearing. So that's just she needs to have that posted by.
Well, what are you recommending?
I would recommend that we have the warrant open through Thursday, the 19th,
Okay, but when do you want to open it?
tonight.
Tonight. Okay, so we're going to, your recommendation is to open the warrant tonight,
Yep.
okay, on May 2nd.
Yes.
We close the warrant on the 19th.
Yes. And then the board, this is where the board may have to have an additional meeting, because our second meeting, and I got messed up a little bit because the May 1st was on a Sunday, and here we are, May 2nd, it's the first Monday, so I thought that our second meeting of the month was May 23rd. But we are gonna have to have a meeting sometime the week of the 23rd, which I also thought, maybe we could have that second meeting to also do the community input for the ARPA stuff as well. So we don't have to try and jam everything into.
So the warrant will close on the 19th. We will meet on the 23rd for the final, what?
Yep, to finalize the warrant, and then
And
once,
sign it and get it off to,
correct. So
Okay.
as soon as it's signed, that will give Ellen a week roughly to have the constables go out and post in the required locations.
Well, it needs to be posted for 2 weeks or posted for 1?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So the latest
So if
that-
it's posted the 1st through the day of the meeting, that counts as 2 weeks? Or does it have to be posted on the 31st?
the 31st would be 2 weeks before.
So it needs to be posted. We can't have a meeting at night and then post it. We're gonna have to meet on the holiday or something.
Well-
Or,
That's just the latest she can post it. She can post it earlier.
I know, we can't, okay.
So you're saying,
From my humble perspective, if we go backwards and say the 31st, it has to be approved by the 31st,
31st of May.
which is pushing our luck. Now, if we try to approve it and we have a problem, we don't have to have time to resolve and reprint.
You're right.
So we really want to be approving this on the 23rd. So I'd say we're going to have to shorten this warrant period.
Yeah, well, that's what
We need to have it approved on the 23rd and ready. And if there's a glitch, then we can
you know,
meet
that's-
again
well,
during the week.
I think that's what the recommendation was, that we were going to open the warrant tonight through the 19th. Then we would meet on the 23rd, which is an added meeting, to finalize and sign off on that on the 23rd.
I'm also uncomfortable we don't have business on Friday, so if we close it on the 19th, it really doesn't give Jessica and Sandy any time to get this ready, except for just Monday, to compile it for us. And if they're comfortable with that, that's up to them. But
Well, wait a minute,
I'd say bump it
well-
a day, give yourself an extra day to gather it, or,
Well, I can, as things come in, unless people wait until the 19th to give everything, I can have the warrant ready as we get things.
So do you want to close it earlier in the day on the 19th, and instead of a typical 4 o'clock, close it at 10 or noon to make sure you have the end of that business day to tidy it up?
We can close, I'm okay with closing at 4. I'm here until at least 5 anyways. So.
Okay, I'm watching out for you, I'm watching out for you two.
No,
I hate cutting these things close, I hate pushing it to the end. It seems like every time we give ourselves a week, we need it. Something's misprinted or something's off and we need time to fix it. So if we're approving it on the 23rd, then yeah, we have any time during that
Yeah.
week. If we have to fix something,
We can
I
fix it.
feel better meeting again like on Thursday, the 26th, and give it to the constables for Friday to make sure we, to Ellen, to make sure we get our full 2 weeks, and I don't want to push it to the
No, yeah, I
the
agree.
31st.
The 31st.
But yeah,
But I think that works. The 2nd, the 19th, and the week of the 23rd.
That gives us a little over 2 weeks of
Yeah.
open period, which
Yeah.
is, it should be plenty of time. And I don't mind, I like in special town, give more if we need
Yeah.
to, but town meeting, if somebody wants to put something, they need 10 signatures, something in that ballpark, so it's very easy.
That's a
to-
special town meeting.
No,
No.
annual town, you need nothing, it's like 10 signatures. You can walk in the parking lot, have it in 5 minutes, and turn something back in, so it's not like people need
See, I'll have
weeks
to-
and weeks and weeks to
Yeah,
prepare.
yeah.
So we can certainly shorten it if we need to. I don't have any problem doing that. If you want to push it to the 19th and you two are happy with that, then I don't care.
Okay, and the town clerk I know has met, and he's happy with this as well.
Yep. Yeah, I ran this timeline by her as well.
Okay,
This is
so
what- this
we
is
need
the-
a motion.
Today's the second. yeah.
Hold on.
We have a motion.
We haven't talked about a time for the meeting yet?
The time, I believe the time is usually
6 o'clock?
6:30, 6
6:30?
o'clock.
We have to do a cleanup, don't we?
I was just gonna mention, the only other thing that we need to do is that there was a cleanup. We are gonna have to have technically a special town meeting before the annual town meeting to take care of the oven that the schools purchased, with our reimbursement to come at a later date.
Okay. So the meeting could be 6 PM for the special.
Yeah.
And then
We'll
6:15.
do that at the next meeting. I didn't wanna put them, both on this agenda
Okay.
to avoid confusion.
What do you mean
but-
special? You're gonna,
So we have to have a special in order to approve the money to fund the school's oven that they purchased back in August. We can't do that at the annual because the annual is just for FY '23, whereas the special is it's gonna be this cleanup for the
It's-
purchase that they made this
It's
year.
very, it's very common. I have been to a gazillion town meetings, unfortunately, and there's often a special that precedes the annual town meeting where they clean up FY '22.
and we talked about this, and you won't like this suggestion, but before we call the whole town out earlier for a meeting and do the whole paperwork and the extra posting, we could pay for it out of the ARPA funds and be done with it. It's not a huge amount of money.
No, it's $4,000 or $5,000.
We could vote to approve, in fact, I make a motion, we pay for the oven out of the ARPA funds. And avoid that whole second meeting, that whole conundrum. People are gonna approve it anyways.
Yeah, they are.
We have to have it.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that.
And that, for the amount of inconvenience we're gonna, if you add up the dollar, say $15 an hour per person we drag out early for an extra hour doing all the postings and everything else, we're gonna spend more to have that special than we're gonna, spend on this.
Well, we're not going to spend more. I mean, it's going to be
I
more
mean, but
inconvenient.
people doing their time and everything else.
It's going to be more inconvenient for the community, I get that.
And people can't typically come earlier. People have a challenge getting there typically when we go for 6:30 even, because they get home from work, they want to feed their kids or get a sit or whatever else. And a lot of people, some people say, why can't we do it earlier? Other people, why can't we do these later? But you do them later, and, back in the day, we were there
Let me
till
just
11
say,
o'clock as is.
Hardwick always does theirs on Saturday, and they have even, at noontime, and they have even more trouble getting people to that.
Well, we did it out here in the special during the COVID for, what was it, the 2021, outside. And we literally had to make phone calls to
Yeah.
get people to come down to finish the quorum to get it.
Well,
Um,
but anyway.
So anyways, I have a motion that we pay for it out of our funds.
Okay, well, wait a minute,
Reimburse
do we
them.
have a motion on the dates, or did we clean up all of those for you?
There,
Do
I still need a
do we
motion
vote
for
on
that.
that? I know we have, okay,
We haven't had a motion on that even, but a point of,
okay.
I know
So,
I made a motion, point of order, we should be working on that motion. We can elect to drop it officially, but, until we do the other one, but.
well, you took, if I don't want to argue with you, but you.
No, I'm just saying we can say-
You sort of jumped the gun on that
I
motion.
know, so we can say, all right, then I'll remove my motion. How's that sound? Make it easy that way.
Well, let's get,
I know, so I want to remove the
Let's-
motion.
let's-
Because
let's-
technically, once you make it, you're supposed to stay with it. So it
let's
was-
get to the dates for the, okay, we're opening the warrant tonight on May 2nd. We're closing the warrant on May 19th. The week of the 23rd, we haven't put a specific date, but
We
it'd be the
don't-
week
we
of the
don't-
23rd, we will
We
approve the
don't need
warrant.
that, you're right.
And then, obviously, we have the June 14th as the date of the annual town meeting.
All right, first of all, I would make a motion that we set the date and time for annual town meeting to be June 14th at 6:30 at Ruggles Lane School.
Okay, got
Second.
it. We have a motion and made and seconded for the town meeting date of June 14th at 6 PM at...
6:30.
Oh, sorry, 6:30 at Ruggles Lane School. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, looks like a vote.
I'd also like to make a motion that we open the warrant this evening immediately following our vote and close the warrant on May 19th at 4 PM.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded for opening the warrant tonight, closing it on the 19th of May at 4 PM. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And a final, do you want to do a motion on the...
We don't.
week of the
We don't
20th?
have to do that, we just gotta put that on the agenda and
Okay.
address it when it comes to the end. Those are things we have to make official.
Okay,
And then once we actually approve it, you know, as long as it's posted, we're gonna discuss the warrant at the meeting. And then once we actually approve it, we can get it out to,
and now in order to fund the oven,
I would make a motion, we fund the oven, the
For Ruggles Lane
reimbursement to the school for the oven at Ruggles Lane, which we own by contract, out of the ARPA funds.
we have a motion made, need a second.
If I'm not comfortable with that, time, do we second that discuss?
You don't have to, yes, we typically would,
Yeah, I'll second, but I'd like some discussion on it.
Sure.
sure.
Just, I'm not particularly comfortable moving forward with that, having not reviewed it yet. I think, especially on the 23rd, where that's still before town meeting and we're going to be discussing ARPA funds and the surveys coming in at that point, I think that would be a more appropriate time to make that decision.
The problems are, as we just did, we've set this meeting for 6:30. And if we don't pay for this, then we need to have a meeting at 6 o'clock, and we need to do another advertisement, and we need to do another whole meeting before the meeting, and hope that we have appropriate attendance and appropriate people coming. So we'd have to, we can do it, we can go back and change this, and you know, we can just announce another meeting at 6. We
How
can-
much
we-
time do we need to prepare a special town meeting? How much advance notice do we need to give for that?
Where we are now.
1 week?
Well,
No, you only.
well, you'll
2
need,
week
they'll
posting.
need 2 week, we'll need a 2-week posting, yeah,
And-
well,
And we need a week to
Okay.
prepare the warrant, so
Yeah.
we need 3 weeks. So the reality is,
So we could discuss it at our next meeting on the 16th.
we could,
because we can open and close the
Um,
warrant the same night.
Correct.
and we could open and close one place with one article
Yeah.
on it. I don't know what else you're concerned about with it. The ARPA funds have been placed in the select board's hands to spend as we see fit, and we see fit to pull the town and pull the departments and figure out how to spend it. The tune of, what is it, 1.6, what are we at?
1.6 million.
$1.6 million we have to spend. We've discussed before, we don't want to squirrel it down, just buy all sorts of little tidbits here and there. But right before town meeting last year, where the warrant was set and the article was ready to vote on, the oven went bad at Ruggles Lane. And to replace the oven, anything 5,000 and under the school does, and over 5,000, we have to do, and it's like 6,000 almost for the oven. We had no way to fund it unless we had another whole special town meeting right after town meeting.
So the school's
And-
up front of the money.
So the schools fronted the money to get the oven so they can feed the kids, and with the promise from the board that we would get the funds to replace that. So we can put it on the warrant. And if it was a larger item, we really should put it on the warrant. But it's a very small purchase item at 5,000 and change, just under 6,000.
It's like 6,000.
And we have 1.4 million of ARPA funds that we are allowed to spend at our discretion. And yes, this is one of those things you can say the public doesn't get input on it, or we can delay it, so the public has a week to have input at the next meeting, certainly. But this is one of the rare times I say, I'll take my chance on the public input, because it's not a wish item, it's a need, it's paid for, we owe, and we're gonna have to fund it somehow. And it avoids a second meeting, getting people here, open a meeting, closing a meeting, having 2 postings, which are gonna confuse people, well, I know it will confuse
Well-
some people, and all of that, but.
I think
That's
this
why
might
I
be the
propose
best way to handle this situation, but I don't see any reason we can't do it at the next
We certainly
committee
can,
meeting.
we certainly can.
So I wouldn't be in favor of doing it at this meeting without having a little more time to review.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. Do we want to postpone the action on
You
this?
go forward for a vote, and it goes up or down. If it
Okay.
goes down, we do it later, if it goes up, we do it
Tonight.
now, that's all.
Okay. Those in favor?
All right,
Those opposed?
Aye.
No, I would go with the new person in deference to him to find out more information so
Sure.
he feels
So
comfortable.
that way, we've done our motion, we
Yeah.
voted through, it's failed, and we'll address it in the 16th, and then we can just make sure if we can, put
Yeah.
that on the town website, so people know if they want to discuss it, the plan, so it's publicized more than just on the agenda when it comes out.
Yeah,
Because if that's John's intent, to get more discussion on it, we want to let as many people know as
Right.
we can before we do it, and move forward from there. So we have the town meeting set, and we have the warrant is open.
We're ready to go with that.
And if we need, we can do the other one very quickly, open, close at one meeting, and set the date and advertise and all that.
So moving forward with, we have another appointment to make for the Youth Commission, and we need a vote to authorize Kristen Dukas to participate on the Youth Commission. Is she the single person who's on this, or?
No, I believe there's at least one of, I don't know, who's on
I
there?
just know Michelle Lavaska, and she has volunteers.
Yeah.
Okay.
The goal, I believe that this woman, her goal is to do like a Teen Talk Tuesday. That's what she's gonna host for the youth center. And why?
Do we have any documents or planning documents from the commission to know what activities are, part and part? I know that during COVID, I mean, they have to
Yeah.
be kind of just going, okay, what do we do? Because they haven't been around.
Right.
So I just would love to know a little bit more about the youth commission. Not that I think Kristen is not a good person, but I worry a little bit when I hear Teen Talk Tuesday. What does that mean?
What are they talking about?
Well, no, I mean, in order
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
for that to happen, sometimes one would say, what kind of credentials does a person have to do Teen Talk Tuesday?
Right.
I would just be a little nervous if that's
Bachelor's in philosophy, it says. Or
Okay, that's it.
psychology? Psychology.
Psychology.
Sorry. And she's trained as a Realtor. Not that that helps with
Yeah.
talks, but,
So at any rate, I have no problem with, considering her vote for appointment, but I would just like, if we could plan for the youth commission to either meet with the board and to just briefly discuss some of their ideas and the opportunities so that I know that they don't have a budget.
They do.
They do have a budget.
they do. It's not very big, but they do.
Yeah. So
Min-
they haven't met since I've gotten here. 'Cause I got
Well, it's
here in
been COVID, yeah, so,
But I met with Michelle this budget cycle because I
yeah.
kind of gave her an ultimatum. I was like, listen, we're
Got
either
it.
gonna come up with a plan on what you're gonna do for the next year, or we're not gonna, like, that's $2,500 I can use elsewhere. So
So they've
she
got
did-
$2,500?
Yep, so she did, she came in, discussed with the finance committee and.
Well, perhaps just providing me with that information
Yeah.
would be sufficient, so I can just chat with you later. It's just, I'm always nervous about people who are appointed to work with students or children. Do we query them? Do we sorry them?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So we make sure that all that happens, okay.
Correct, yes.
That is always done.
Yeah,
And,
even if they're not working with children, we
Okay.
still
Oh,
query
okay.
people.
I'd make a motion, we approve the appointment of Kristen Dukas
Second.
for the use of the board.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye?
All right. Okay, looks like a unanimous vote. And maybe you and I can just chat about some of the ideas that they've had. I just,
Yeah.
Old business, it looks as if we have nothing in old business other than an executive session. Our executive session is to conduct strategy and preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically the chief of police, and we would need a motion and a roll call to go into executive sessions. If you have a quick one, Sam.
It's a quick one. I'd like to go back just a moment. Previously, we had the meeting at the grade school. It was exceptionally hot, and people commented that they enjoyed the fact that it was at the high school where the temperature was more reasonable. Now, if in June we get a very hot night, people aren't going to want to come. So I don't know why it was changed.
Well, it's really the moderator's decision. He generally sets the location for the meeting. No?
No, there's not.
Oh.
Well, I checked with Joshua to make sure that, he was comfortable with this location, because it's always good to have that
So who's the
partnership.
town-
But
What happened with the moderator was, if he is concerned for the public safety, for code, whatever, he
gotcha.
has the right to cancel the meeting
Okay,
and postpone it. So we were working with him to make sure the meeting wasn't gonna be
Yeah.
postponed.
So was that the reason?
That's why we went outside, and then that's why we went in the larger auditorium there. So, we certainly don't have to confer with Joshua
No.
to pick a
well,
location. but-
I mean, I think we have at least another week or so before we have to make a final decision on the location before we post it.
Yeah, we can certainly change the location
Yeah.
and up until our posting.
You make a good point, and we just have to talk with the school to see if that venue is available to us.
Parking's better, it's cooler.
Parking's better, it's cooler.
People were really elated that it was gonna be finally cool.
And I think the
Because
acoustics are
those
better there as well.
fans-
I really think you heard better in there than you are in Ruggles.
Yeah, well, we won't go in the gym again for acoustics. Oh, my God, that was really bad. That was awful.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
awful. Well, I know the gym is awful for the acoustics, so a good comment.
The CAF was a good
Sam, and
place
we
for it.
certainly, I think we'll take a look at that.
Thank you for paying attention.
Anytime. So we're going to go into executive session. I need a motion.
Thank you very much.
Make a motion, we go to executive session, Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A, for the purpose of conducting, strategizing for police chief contract negotiations.
I expect we will come
And-
out of.
And coming out for adjournment.
Adjournment only. We have a motion, so we have a motion made in second. We need a roll call.
O'Sullivan, yes?
Dixon, yes?
Marshall,
Thank you
yes?
very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we'll start right off with our hearing for the new